You down there?
Good morning, Bobby. Very well, thank you.
How you dealing with the heat?
I sit inside with the air conditioning on.
Oh, you lucky man, lucky man. 42 degrees in the studio, right here, right now.
Ah, dear. Well, you have to get some air conditioning, Bobby.
Yeah, but the computers don't like it. Too much humidity in the air, they say. So you've got a new book out. Tell us all about it, Peter. Patrick.
Well, it's a murder mystery.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off with a baffling murder of some anonymous individual on a narrowboat near the time of Reading, which is in the UK.
Yeah, Reading, Berkshire, yeah.
It's set in a tranquil river setting, which is very pretty on the Kennet and Naval Canal.
Right.
And it starts like any other murder mystery, but then it changes dramatically.
Oh.
In the end, the story takes a turn, and we find ourselves reading about an international arms deal that's gone wrong.
Ah.
Somebody said to me the other day, this is Morse meets James Bond.
Oh, hey, well, there's riveting stuff, Patrick. So does this come from your part of the world from years ago?
I was born there. I was born near Reading.
Oh, right.
I was born on a farm, actually.
Oh, right.
Whatever I'm doing in Greece is quite a mystery, actually. But also with a 20-year gap in Bulgaria. But here I am.
So you spent 20 years in this wonderful country where I'm sat sitting?
I did indeed.
What part of Bulgaria were you in? In the capital, Sofia?
I was in the capital. I arrived in 1993.
Right.
And I pushed off, best part of 20 years later.
Wow. But you've only moved the short way because it's not a long drive from the capital, Sofia, down to where you are, I believe.
It's actually quite an easy drive because it's mainly up the motorway towards Burgas, and then it's right-hand down a bit, just across the border, and here I am.
Right. So was there, any sort of financial reason that you moved from one country to another?
I came here for some peace and quiet, really. I was not particularly well at some point.
Mm-hmm.
My diabetes was playing up.
Oh, dear.
I came here, found a good doctor in Alexandropoli, and I was right as rain there.
Fabulous stuff, because, of course, there was been many famous authors that have made that trail on horseback through Greece and up into Bulgaria.
Yes, I think that there's one famous poet, I think.
Yes.
Quite a well-known poet who fought in the First Balkan War and unfortunately died.
Right. Oh, I didn't know about his death, but I did know that quite a few people had made that journey, and the lovely Joanna Lumley made a TV programme about it.
Isn't she wonderful?
Brilliant, absolutely. Been an admirer for many years.
Yes, she's wonderful.
So, your book, it's out, it's published now. Can people get their hands on it?
It's with Amazon, of course.
Right.
With the independent book sellers, and also with Barnes and Noble and American distributors.
Right, and can people download that onto Kindle and other such things?
It's Kindle ready.
Right, okay.
So in hardback or Kindle. In fact, I think Rosemary might like to have a hard copy.
Well, that'd be nice.
If you gave me an address at some point, I could send it by courier.
Well, that would be very nice. Yes, I'm sure she'll furnish you with the office address here. It'd be perfect. Now, what do you think about what's going on in here in Bulgaria with all these silly politicians?
Well, they haven't said anything different for 20 years.
Right.
There's nothing new. I think one of the problems with Bulgaria is they don't have a lot of new ideas.
Right.
When they run out of ideas, they start again at the beginning.
Yes.
And that's always about the cost of electricity, Kozl Nui, the usual stuff. And, of course, the famous story about who was and who was not a spook.
Yeah, well, that goes on and on. But I must admire the people having coffee, and I was very amused the other day when they set up the beaches outside Parliament Building and were there with the suntan oil and the bikinis and paddling pools.
But you see, that they're not the same people.
No.
Those real Bulgarians you're talking about, these other guys, well, I don't know what. I think in a lot of cases they're opportunists. A lot of them seem to have certain criminal proclivities, but we won't go into that too closely.
No, best keep that at arm's length. So, tell me, with all the problems that Greece have had, can you see light at the end of the tunnel for the good people there?
Yes, I can. I
Brilliant.
think they've been very brave in a way. They've been very hard on each other, particularly with the IMF and also with the European Bank. And, of course, Mrs. Merkel, who's not the most popular person here.
No, I'm sure not.
They're getting their act together. And I think there's going to be a new Greece very shortly. And I think a lot of people will be buying things in Greece, houses particularly, because in the north where I am, they're just almost the same price as they are in Elevo and those sort of areas in Bulgaria.
Oh, righty-o. Yeah, well, that's good news. I mean, we all need tourism and we need people to come in as long as some businesses can come as well and give some decent employment to people.
That is the whole point, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And I think that also applies to the English people, or the foreigners, if you like, who sometimes struggle to keep going. You know, they think the brave move to go there, and they just need a bit of encouragement.
That's all they need, some positive thinking, and to get things sorted out, and to think about things in a sort of a clever way, and then I think we're going to be tickety-boo, don't you?
Well, the whole of Europe is improving. Dare I say it's doing a bit better than the States in some respects.
Yeah.
I rather like Europeans. I've always thought of myself as a European, and I rather like the idea of Europe standing on its own, but being together.
Absolutely, yes. I think you're absolutely right. We've got a few problems, i.e. Britain, down there in Gibraltar at the moment with the Spanish going on. What a palaver's going on down there.
I went there so many years ago, you can't believe it. Franco was alive. And it's always been like that. There's nothing new.
No.
When the Spaniards get fed up, they think, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll upset the British government. The same things happen, i.e. nothing.
Right. So when you first came to Bulgaria, then would have been just after democracy arrived here?
Well, I think that's a very optimistic expression. I think it was when democracy had allegedly arrived. And, of course, it was still controlled by the same people, more or less, who'd been there before.
Right.
Because I had a news magazine, which was called the Sofia Western News, the first English magazine in Sofia, despite other people might say. I actually interviewed Todor Zhivkov, the communist, ex-communist dictator.
Oh, right.
And he was quite an amusing man. And he said, well, as far as I can see, what's happening with Europe is called centralised planning, isn't it?
Well, I think he may have had a point somewhere there, you know.
He said, and that's what we've been accused of.
But you must have seen some amazing changes, though, in that 20 years of where maybe somebody would pay the deposit 10 years before and the old Moscovich finally arrived, motor car.
If you were lucky.
Yes.
I think it's the young people. I've met some very, very interesting and go-ahead young people, the sons of, if you like, or even the grandsons of. And I think that these people show me that there's a great deal of a very good future waiting for Bulgaria.
Yes.
Maybe their grandfathers and fathers don't agree with them, but I think they're all very fed up with all this, intrigue and
yes.
The conspiracy theory.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and I'm amazed. Wherever the Parliament to go on vacation, I've noticed that the protesters, some are walking all the way, and others have parachuted in, gone in by boat, and now blockading the front door. So, where will it all end, Patrick? I don't know.
It'll probably end up with a comedy programme, actually.
Well, you never know, do you? I mean, things may happen that way. So, this isn't your first book, though, is it?
No, we spoke before in, when was it, February?
Yeah.
Herodotus, the Nome of Sophian, which was a sort of a semi-Cold War spoof novel.
Yeah.
But this is a murder novel. And, like most popular detective stories, it starts with a crime, which gets our hero policeman running around accusing quite innocent people of murder.
Right.
But you see, bully boys are not always the most successful policemen.
No, they're not.
They make good TV and dominate, an aggressive storyline. But a murder on the Kennet and Avon Canal introduces us to Detective Chief Inspector Michael Lambert, a cricket-playing, jazz-loving classic car enthusiast who solves problems and thinks with his head and not with his mouth.
Sounds somewhat Morse, as you say, and I could see James Bond coming in there. Well, bowling the odd googly.
Yes. Oh my goodness me. Well, the thing about Judas is it becomes complicated and a little bit international because it's not as simple as all that. And but our policeman is not overwhelmed, and he calmly unravels the truth of a botched arms deal which has gone horribly wrong. Because all this, he has to get his hands in the murky waters of the arms business.
Oh dear, oh dear.
They're not nice people.
No. Particularly in the way the climate is at the moment, with embassies closing until Friday and all sorts of alerts coming on around the world. Fairly topical, Patrick.
Absolutely. I think that a lot of people don't realise that underneath all this control, governments tell us that they have, there isn't any. And a lot of these weapons find ways to places which they shouldn't really ought to be.
Right.
Africa and in South America. But as I say, what self-respecting, drug dealer would be a private army who was well, armed?
Sure.
And also, they've got the money to pay for these things.
Absolutely. I mean, did the research for the book take you to foreign climes, or was it strictly there done online sort of thing?
Well, you have to admit that Wikipedia is pretty good. I did get the assistance from an organisation in Sweden called SIPRI, SIPRI, and they're a think tank, as they call themselves, whose object is to control arms dealing and the sale and purchase of arms.
Right.
And they do have an awful lot of information, and they were quite willing to give it to me.
Well, that's very interesting to know, that there is that kind of help out there.
Well, you only have to ask these days, because most of us are getting pretty fed up with reading the headlines. People are dying left, right and centre.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm amazed now at how many murders are taking place in London City.
It doesn't look too good, but if you compare that to the suburbs of New York, it's sort of like a non-event, really, isn't it? But
yeah.
Where do these guns come from?
Well, yes, that's a very good question.
Eastern Europe, most of them. And of course, how easy is it for you to drive back from, let's say, Romania or Bulgaria and bring a weapon with you?
Well,
unless you're searched at the Dover or something, they leave you alone.
Well, yeah. I mean, the chances are, quite high that you could get through quite easily.
I think they do. Anyway,
so let's talk more on how people can get hold of this book, because it sounds intriguing. So it's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. It's Barnes & Noble. It's with the independent booksellers, because I support them.
Right.
They're jolly good. Everybody says that nobody goes to bookshops anymore. Well, we better do something about that.
Yes.
They're wonderful people. They'll tell you what a good book is without telling you what the name of the best-known author in the world is.
Sure, of course, yeah. Brilliant idea. Well, I mean, I think it's been fabulous having this chat with you again today. I do hope things are good for you down there in Greece, and I know it's a lovely part of the world where you've gone to.
It's very nice here. Evros is famous for its wildlife.
Oh, right.
It's a national park here, And there's some wonderful birds flying around. Over my house, I see eagles and kestrels, all sorts of amazing birds.
Sounds idyllic, and I guess the local bar does a very nice cold one from time to time.
Well, that's the most important thing, really.
Well, one of my things that I do when I'm interviewing people is I ask them one simple question. In your area, what's the price of a cup of coffee?
The price of a cup of coffee is an arm and a leg, I'm afraid.
Ah.
It's €2.50 for
Goodness.
a cup of... And it's ridiculous. But for some reason or other, there are an unbelievable number of coffee bars, and when your average Greek thinks, now, what shall I do? I need to start a business. And they say, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll open a coffee bar.
Yeah.
And they exist on quite a limited number of people, but they do. They charge these crazy prices.
Well, I'm very happy with my 1 lev and 20 stadinkis here for a very nice Bial frappe.
What about a beer? Tell me how much a beer is.
$1.30.
$1.30 there.
Yep.
And a beer in the supermarket down the road here is 39 cents.
Oh.
If you multiply that by 2, that gives you the lever value.
Yes, indeed. Well, cheaper there than for beer.
Well, I mean, the more you drink, the more you save, don't you?
Well, that's one way of looking at it. Listen, it's been great you being with me today. I look forward to being with you again soon.
Well, I hope so.
Carry on.
All the best. Thank you very much, Bobby.
Okay, Patrick, enjoy your lovely life down there in Greece.
Yeah, cheers now. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. That's Patrick Brigham down there in Greece. He's got his new book out. Ah, dear, oh dear. Well, you can get it on Amazon. Interesting story. You know, well, it's called, here's the title of the book if you want to look it up. It's The Kennet Narrowboat Mystery. The Kennet Narrowboat Mystery. A choice of between Mr. Morse and James Bond, they're saying. So, let's have a look. Let's wish him greatest luck with his book. In the meantime...